and then we'll be adding more funds to that as time goes on. So that has started trading as of today, and should get into its first hopefully this evening or even tomorrow morning, depending on how long that takes for Callie to get that care of. But yeah, that's kind of the process that we're at right now, the steps that we've taken so far. I know a lot of people were very excited to kind of hear when are we actually going to start, the bot trading for the NFT. So that would be today, or potentially tomorrow morning, depending on when the first trade goes through.
And you guys will be adding what, $2,000 you said on the Prisma, the NFT side?
Yeah, so we're gonna have 2,000 in each just to make sure that we don't have any issues with the sub account file, same trades as the main account, which is associated to the ITF that we have. Um, Effectively, we just want to make sure it works with no issues, but we throw in funds, because if we have some trouble with the copy trading and things like that that are going on from the primary account to the sub account, we don't want to run into a situation where oh hey, we've dropped in 20, 30, $50,000 like that, and then surprise, come to find out that it doesn't trade the way it's supposed to, and then we're down 20, 30, 40% or something like that because it's not placing trades correctly. So
Right.
yep, with small amount first, and then we will slowly start to ramp that up in terms of value that's in there. I know we talked about originally it'd be about 6 to 8 weeks, so probably a little bit longer than that just for testing purposes. But yeah, we should hopefully within um, probably about 2 to 2.5 months, we should have full funds and everything without any kind of issue. So we're looking
Awesome.
at closer to about
Awesome.
8 to 10 weeks is what it's going to end up being instead of 6 to 8.
Okay. And for the people just joining us, and also because I only started recording this 2 minutes ago, can you tell everybody again how much the bot made in the last week and how much cumulatively it's made over the past 17 days?
So within the last week, I believe it's done about 5.253%. I've got the numbers here. Let me just do the math on that really quick. One moment. Forgot I was on push to talk for a second there. 4% is what it finished out the entire week with. And the total so far over the 17 days of trading was 6.17%. So it's doing about 0.356% per day,
So it
roughly
was
on average.
5.4%, you said?
Yeah, I said 5.2, but it was actually 5.4% is what it did this week.
Cool. Cool.
And on average, it's been doing about 0.356% per day, roughly.
Okay.
And the total that it's done is 6.17%. That's over 7 days of trading. So
Okay.
it's doing pretty good, better than we kind of were over this 2+ week period. So yeah,
Cool.
it's kind of right in line with where we're hoping to be.
Awesome. And Coach Andrew, were you were you like part of Warfi like from the very beginning, or did you join like a little later on? Because Warfi's been around for like a year and some months, right?
Yeah, so Warfi, so Jason and myself, we're both members of Warfi. So we met before its inception. He's kind of the brains behind the whole thing. He had the idea. It was his vision.
Mm-hmm.
And then we met through another project that we were both invested in, and then he kind of was helping them with marketing and things like that as well. And we met through me kind of creating a few infographics and things for that team,
Yeah.
or for the community. And he liked what I was doing, so he brought me on board. And then from there, we just started generating more ideas, the thinking about, the direction of this new project that he wanted to launch. Um, so yeah, been with Warfi since the beginning, since before it started.
Very
And
cool.
yeah, and we established that connection with Shiny very early on. And his trading bots have been going for this is 22 months now. September, the conclusion of September makes it the 22 months of
Hmm.
consistent green. So every single month in profit.
Wow, that's awesome.
And yeah, we're approaching 2 years of Shining and 1 year of Warfi. So we actually have an AMA coming up next week with Jason and myself to kind of discuss a little special that we're going to be running in Warfi for the month of October to kind of celebrate that milestone of having 2 years of the trading bot, 1 year of Warfi, and consistent green for all that time. So
Wow.
yeah, it's
So,
exciting stuff.
what does that mean? What were you doing the first year before Warfi?
Yeah, so for myself, I guess my background. So I am a coach in real life, so Coach Andrew. So I've worked as a personal trainer for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm approaching kind of my 16th year in personal training,
Cool.
and yeah, that was my background. I've run my own business. I had my own gym. I only just recently sold it at the end of last year. I
Wow.
had a cross gym that I was running for 6 years. And yeah, so my skill sets are more around running of the business, managing teams, and that kind of stuff. Um, I kind of always had that entrepreneur kind of mindset. Never really had like a regular job. I've always been doing something on my own
Hmm.
on that side of things. So yeah, so that's how I guess I got into this. I was mainly it was mainly COVID that got me into crypto. So that's when I got in, was the first lockdown that we had here in Australia.
Hmm.
And I remember I saw a TikTok, right? This is how it started. I saw a TikTok of someone putting up like how much you would have made if you invested in, I think it was Shiba Inu at the time.
Yeah.
Like if you invested in January, by the time it got September, you'd make like $100 million. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. There's got to be something to this cryptocurrencies. Um, and that's how I got in. I'm like, I need to have a look at this world. Like, what is this? I've heard of Bitcoin, heard of Ethereum, but how does this all work? So like literally just started learning as much as I can, and like within a week started investing and doing stuff. And yeah, it was
Huh.
a wild ride. And then DeFi, got into all the DAOs back then. Raj was talking about all those DAOs lying with like 1 billion APY. You can get a Lambo in like 6 months time or something. Um, yeah, that
Very
was quite a
sustainable.
roller coaster as well.
Yeah.
Oh, ridiculous. And then obviously somewhat recently, having, project PGV and all these ROI dApps and stuff like that, where they're offering 8% a day, 2% a day. And, seeing all that kind of stuff in this space is what kind of me to wanting to be a part of this, like with Warfi. Like Jason's vision beginning was always like, we don't want to run something that's got all these pontonomics around. Every single project out there just had that.
Hmm.
And we wanted to make a difference in the DeFi space and try to help people create a space where people can come and be safe, especially new people coming into crypto. And they see like all these crazy projects and like, oh yeah, I'm going to invest my life savings into here. And they're left with nothing. They get rug pulled or they get scammed or they just lose the money because it's not a sustainable project.
Right.
And we wanted to make sure that we create something that's different, that's real. So we don't have like, it's going to be a minimum of this every single month or guaranteeing any percentages or anything like that. For us, it's the main focus is that we don't want anyone to lose any money. And every month we want people to gain. As
Hmm.
long as we stay in the green and we're making people money, then that's going to be the impact that we're going to make. I want people to feel
Right.
safe. You can go to sleep at night just easy knowing that if you've got funds with Warfi or with Warhaven, because I guess with Warhaven, that's our partnership, is
Hmm.
they're using the Warfi trading bots, right? So that money just gets invested into the same pools, the same trading bots. It's the same managing everything
Right.
on the back end of that with the trading bots. And yeah, that's the mission. And we want to make sure that we're partnering with people that have the same kind of mindset or the same vision as us. That
Yeah.
we're not here just to a quick buck or to get people, Lambos in a few months.
Hmm.
It's generating revenue with actual trading and we want to make sure that is ongoing for many years to come, for decades moving forward.
Right. Nice. That's our goal too. And we want to keep this going for decades to come. Um, so when you guys started talking to Shiny Jackal, he already had it all calibrated, right? The bot was already trading. He already had that like set up
Yeah.
already.
So he absolutely. So Shiny, he had, I guess, before our exclusive partnership, he did have, people could privately sign up with Shiny and manage their own funds and all that kind of stuff. The difficulty around that he was finding, and that a lot of people experienced, was that setting up this on their own was quite complex. And Shiny would have to spend a lot of time to talk people through it, jump in on calls and, screen sharing and all this kind of stuff for each
Mm,
individual to try to get them to onboard their stuff. But he had his trading strategies, he had the bots ready.
mm,
But obviously, it's evolved as he's gone to make things even more sustainable and always focusing on, protecting the funds as much as possible. So we don't want
yeah.
to lose anything. So he's always kind of tweaking that because obviously, when he was in those smaller accounts, the trading bots would look different because they're potentially like, 5K, 10K, 20K, 100K, things like that.
Mm,
But when you're trying to manage, we have is, about 5 million plus in TV, it's a lot to kind of manage and trying to
right.
make sure that we protect those kind of funds and only trade, a certain percentage of it to make sure that we're not kind of impacting the market as so, especially in crypto, like the volume is quite low at the moment in a bear market.
Hmm.
Um, there's a ridiculous amount of money going in there. I mean, 5 million isn't that much in the grand scheme of things, but we want to make sure that it's able to do the things that he wants at the end of the day, right? Without kind of manipulating or moving the market itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the strategy has evolved as he's gone, but having grown his team and allowed us to take care of the onboarding of new investors and users and things like that, and allowed him to just focus on the trading bots, expanding into a 24/7 um 24/7 monitoring of the trading bots and everything. And we've got like over 50 sub accounts, to make sure that all funds are protected, each one with their own kind of tweaked strategy. So if
Hmm.
anything does happen on one, it doesn't affect another. So it's quite a complex operation over there. But
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
they have the resources. So it's a
50 sub
solid thing they're
accounts.
doing over there.
And
Yeah,
because
it's a lot.
I
So
think the
that's why it's quite difficult for us to do any updates during the month because we'd have to calculate each account separately. And then
yeah,
usually it's at the end of the month we get a big push
right.
into, what our final performance is going to be.
Right. That's one of the uh, significant differences I think between your trading bots and the Prisma bot. And Moon God can speak to this better than me, but they're doing their best to make the Prisma bot completely automated, so that they don't have to be watching it all the time. Whereas you guys have people watching your bot 24 hours a day, right? You have it in like shifts.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
exactly. So they're monitored in shifts, just to make sure if there's anything that can happen, then there's someone there to make changes,
and
to
the
tweak it, because the market is very very volatile, especially in crypto.
right. Um,
Yeah.
and the other thing is, you said that they've had to change the settings quite a bit. As you've been dealing with greater sums of money, that's another thing that Moon God and Calais have been working on. And I'm guessing Sanjay as well, is calibrating the bot to be able to scale to much larger sums of money. Which I mean, I'm getting into all kinds of weeds here, but I know Raj has said before that like trading small sums of money is very different, like in regards to like the returns you can expect compared to trading large sums of money. Um, and there's just different strategies. The more money that you have. Uh, so I know that's one thing that Moon God and Callie have been working on is calibrating the bot to be able to handle the larger sums of money that we're expecting. um, in the coming years.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
absolutely.
Well, and just to kind of answer that, maybe for both teams here, and that's something that we've kind of long term as well too. And some of the things that we've talked about in terms of like as larger funds are being managed, you can kind of adjust, some of the risks and some of the risk that you're taking on the trades, the bots, the amount of funds that are used, as you brought up as too. Well, sometimes that may mean, lower amounts of returns. It also means it's a much safer process and less movement in the market as well. So that's definitely something that we've brought up on this side, and that's the reasons why, even as you move up in trading larger amount of funds, you have to be mindful, market movements. And that's one of the things we've said constantly over here, and that's proof of point. When Andrew comes in here and he says that, we're being very careful about the amount of funds that we're using. And while, the one NFTs, are not going to be trading nearly anywhere close to $1 million like next week, next month, or even next year, I would say. It's very much so a situation where it's like those are the same things that we've had to think about on our side as well too. So, everything he's saying is, part of the process of making sure that it's a safe and secure, you know, long term hold versus something where it's like, okay, we're in it for 5 minutes. I've made $12. Let me get out, kind of thing. And that's one of the reasons why I've actually referenced you guys multiple times before. The process that you guys have talked about has never been like, hey, this is going to be like a 1 day, a 1 week or even a 1 month kind of thing. I love the fact that you guys have made it. It's 21 months now. Is that correct? Or is it 22?
22. Yeah, 22 now.
22. Yeah. I mean, that's absolutely, a beacon of, the way things can be done in this space. And, the long term that we've talked about that I know people worry about, and they're like, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years in the crypto space is kind of, it feels like it's 50 years, so to speak. But, here we are talking to somebody that's been doing this for, it'll be 2 years and 2 months. So, congratulations on that. I mean, that's a step in and of itself, but it's proof of concept, really, that if you do things the right way, that if you're safe and secure about the assets that you guys are kind of, going through the process of trading, that we're going through the process of trading, this isn't going to vanish, overnight or anything like that. It's very much so, you know, the proof is in the pudding, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to hear that, a lot of the things that you're trying to implement with this bot kind of align with similarities of what we're doing in terms of wanting to play it safe. Like I find I've seen a few other projects that have put in like a certain percentage and have said, okay, we're gonna make. There was one not too long ago, actually, a few months back, where their target was like 10% per week, and they'd have like weekly updates and things like that, and it just got too much pressure on their traders that they felt they had to take riskier trades and had to
Mm.
risk in position or find trades that just weren't there. Like they were just staring at these screens too long and just thinking, oh, maybe it's going to do this, or here's a setup, and there wasn't anything. It was just the pressure was getting to them. And
Mm.
that's one thing that Shiny talks so much about, is that it's not about trying to promise a certain percentage or to push your team into trying to trade a certain percentage. The goal should just be focus on the process. You want to make sure that you're sticking to your rules. You only get in when all of your rules have been ticked off, and that's when you take a trade. And
Mm.
they have a special set of rules that they have to implement every single time they want to take a trade. They have over 40 indicators that they use as well, um, on yeah, on every single account that they hold, and it's all just about making sure that they're just focused on the green. It's like you might not get that many trades in the month, but as long as you take the good trades and they're low risk ones, and you're making money for your users, for your people that are trusting you with all their money, then that's the goal at the end of the day. So I like the fact that it's not, like, okay, we're going to be promising this amount every month for forever. because that stuff, and we've seen it time and time again. It just doesn't work. And that's why for us from day one, it's like the profits that you're going to get paid on a monthly basis are whatever the bots are going to generate. So if one month it ends up being 15%, which it has in the past, then great. If it's 3%, then that's great because we're in the green. The whole point is we don't want to lose anyone's money. Um, and yeah, I think that's great to hear from you guys as well.
And I think that's one of the things that people have a tendency to forget, even talking about a percentage like that, 2 to 3% a month, even like 4% a month. And we're talking about like stretching that out a little bit further, 2, 3, 4% a month, translates into beating the S&P 500, and it's very much so a case where most people, I don't know if they track the stock market or anything like that, but it's a situation where you're looking at, even at 2, 3, 4% per month, much higher returns than you would get just putting something into your standard ETF or mutual fund, which is absolutely, fantastic. And again, with that focus on safety and security and, like just saying, hey, man, if you do, 0.1% one day, and then you have another day where you do like 0.3% or something like that, and then you have a day where you do like 0.01%, as long as it's still in the green, I mean, you're good, and I think that's one of the things that's overlooked more so in the crypto space than anything else, because everybody's closing their eyes, crossing their fingers, and hoping that they're going to get a moonshot. And I love talking and hearing about stuff like that, where it's like, hey, our focus is first and foremost safety and security. Second is just making sure we're in the green, and while our bots, on our side, are a bit more automated, because it sounds like you guys are manually trading over there. Is that correct? Or is it a myth?
It's majority is the trading bot, but
Okay.
there is just monitoring all the time and tweaking. And we do have some manual traders as well on the team, so they're helping to kind of add to it. But yeah,
Right.
predominantly it's the trading bots. Yeah.
Right, and with that being the case, there, I mean, it's the pressure's just not there, to be like trying to kind of, like I said, close your eyes, cross your fingers, and hope you're getting a moonshot on one of these trades. It's like we have some lucky situations where like trades really fall our direction, and that's talking about like both projects where you may have a great month, but again, it's also the opposite side where it's like, hey, you can have a month where you do like 3% or something like that, and that's a super commendable month anyways, because one, you're not in the red, you haven't lost money, but then two, it's still a situation, if you manage to pull that every single month compounding, it's going to be even better. And it's one of those things where, crypto really is a space where, I think we have to kind of go through this redefining phase of adjusting from, hey, I need to make $100 million next week, to, hey, how can I consistently just get, this very stable, consistent return over a period of time that might be slightly higher than what you would get, standard trading through, like the stock market or something like that. And I think that's one of the most telling things, where, you look at a project like the, the Warhaven Warfi and everything, and they come out and they're like, we've not had a losing month. 22 months without having a losing month is basically unheard of, in the space.
I wish I didn't have a losing month in the last 22 months.
I mean, it's extremely commendable in my opinion. Like most people don't understand how good that actually is. I mean, that's absolutely phenomenal. It's understated.
Yeah. It's very encouraging too for us, because we're not that far into it, but we see that you guys have done it, so we're just going to be following in your footsteps. I know that Moon God and Cali are doing their own calibrating, so they might do a couple things a little different than Shiny Jackal, but I'm sure that there'll be a lot of similarities as well.
I I actually have a question for you, Moon God, if you don't mind, brother. So, are you guys planning at all in the future, as you obviously put more funds in and expand more sub accounts, to do manual trading along with the bots? and I'll say why, right? That because there is a reason that with the shiny jackal bots, and Andrew can explain further on this if you want details. The reason why there are a couple manual traders is because the bots that are set up, um, they have a majority of them have a save modes hard coded where they will not take a loss. Like if they buy Bitcoin and Bitcoin dumps, the bot's not going to sell at a loss. It will just sit there and wait until it gets back to a neutral winning position. And so that's why they have the couple traders there, who will manual trade in the event that one of the bots is sitting in a losing trade position, but because it will sit in that losing position for a long time, especially if the market, bearish. Obviously, they also monitor the bot, so rare that a bot would get stuck in trade because they would intervene anyways. But even if that situation occurred, that's why the manual traders are there. So, are you guys with the Prisma bots looking in the future to do manual trading in addition to the automation bot? And like, how much are you guys going to be hands-on with the bot? Because I know it's going to be more automated, but are you guys going to do any level of monitoring with it? Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's a really good question to ask. It is a situation where if we end up needing to do that, we absolutely can. So it is very much so a case where, like, if we needed to make an adjustment or place a trade to get out of a position that we're not happy with, we could definitely do so. The bot does have a couple of things in place where it continues to kind of accumulate a position to kind of offset that negative trend or trade that it might be stuck in at a certain point in time. But it just has a tendency to kind of balance itself out in terms of the way that it works. Is that, we wanted to kind of be as hands off as much as possible since we didn't have a large enough team. And with that being said, we have had a couple of instances where the bot has been in a trade for a period of days where it's technically not closed out of a position, but it hasn't been stuck in like a losing position, so to speak. To give an example of that, we had a period of time where we were stuck for about 5 or 6 days in a trade due to it just not hitting enough volatility in order for it to finish and close out of a position. So it was about, at one point in time, it was about $12 off of closing on day one when the position opened up with about a 3.25% return, and then it tracked back the other direction, and it continued to accumulate in that position for another 5 days. Roughly, is about 4.5 days, 5 days, and then it finally closed out that position for a total of about 4.8% returns. So on our side over here, we've kind of got it set up where it can continue to, place trades even if it is still in a given position at a given point in time. But that doesn't mean that we won't ever run into something where we need to manually place a trade. And I don't want, my answer is saying like, hey, we're not going to have to potentially manually place trades to be, one thing or another. It's very much so a case for us where, we have set up our processes to not necessarily have to manually place a trade, but that doesn't mean manually placing a trade at any point in time. I was just curious when I made that statement of like automated versus manually placing trades, if it was something that you guys, had to do. Because again, I've not had that conversation with you. And again, I don't want that to be considered in any way, shape, or form as like a negative towards the WarFi trading bots. It's a part of the system that we aren't trading on that same amount yet either. So it very well could be a case where we realize, a year down the road, 16 months down the road, 18 months down the road, we actually may need to be placing some of those manual trades in the same way that they are. I can't say that as of yet. We are, fully with this new bot 17 days into this roughly. So, as of right now, we haven't had to manually do anything on our side for roughly the last 3 months that we've kind of been testing and refining our bots. Does that mean that, that's always going to be the case? No. Hopefully that answers it.
No, that definitely explains it. And no, I was like, I wasn't trying to like say like your method is bad or our method's better or vice versa. I was just more trying to like understand like what the long term process for you guys is mindset is, and if you were open to making changes as new data comes in. And you answered perfectly. Thank you.
Oh yeah, definitely open to making changes. Whatever would need to be done in that process for us is something where we're constantly going to be refining things. Me and Callie actually sit down, not every day, but about 2 to 3 times a week, and we kind of go over that stuff. So it's very much so a case where, we constantly are having those conversations, refining things, just like I'm sure you guys are doing on your side as well. So it's very much so a case where, I would say the biggest negative that we've had with, with our bot so far is that we just don't have that long term data to be able to kind of necessarily pull from with it. Like I said, we went through an overhaul of our bot, and it's been trading for about 17 days at this point in time, which is, I wish we'd have a lot more data on the back end for it. It would make us feel a lot more comfortable. But yeah, that's, one of those things for us on this side where it's like, hey, Warfi at one point in time started off in the same position, has constantly had to refine, and we're actually pretty much following right in your guys' footsteps in that aspect as well too, where we had an original bot and kind of had to kind of refine, make some adjustments in the same way. I'm sure you guys have had to kind of do that as time goes on. So eventually, I think we'll kind of be lined up in that same spot where it's like following that same path, that same trajectory is my hope here. Because I'd love to get to that point where we're trading $5 million in assets, man. You guys did an absolutely phenomenal job.
you know uh and we wish you the best of luck, man. And you guys are all definitely off to a fair start. Don't undercut yourself. 17 days in a bear market, I know it's not anything in comparison to like how long a bot should be running, or even 22 months with the warfi bots. But 17 days of positive trading in a bear market is no small feat, right? You guys have already at least demonstrated a proof of concept, and that makes investors at least comfortable, right? They can feel a little bit safer. And since Jason isn't here, right? I do want to say one thing, because he this is something he would say if he were here, is that it's all about capital preservation, right? Don't chase profits for the sake of profits. The first and primary goal every month should be capital preservation, right? And from there, build whatever you can sustainably, reasonably do that the market allows you to do, which is basically what Andrew was saying, is right. If the market is going to allow you to do 3%, then 3% it is, right. If the market allows you to do 7 to 15%, then great, but chasing a certain quota is not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Couldn't agree more. And again, I appreciate everything you guys have done. You guys have really kind of, like I said, forged that path ahead of us. And it was kind of one of those things that as we were looking into, various other projects that have kind of tried to, I'm going to say, emulate or almost copy what you guys have been doing. It's very different to see how their projects have panned out, or I guess worse to say, have been unsuccessful because they haven't had that same mentality of capital preservation, making sure funds are safe first, and then going from there and building up from that baseline. So it's, you guys have really paved that road, and it's, as long as you have that same mentality, which I feel like we've tried to kind of, you know be very careful, very safe about the way that we're doing things on our side over here as well. I think that's really what kind of, sets it apart, is while you guys have paved that road, created that process, it's definitely a process that's worth following, at least in my opinion it is. And, I'm sure Oliver will agree with me there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just the fact that we're like you guys were alluding to earlier, it's about changing the mindsets of people. Because in crypto, yeah, we see the moonshots, we see the Pepes and the Shibs and whatnot, but how many of us have actually invested in one of those? You know, none of us, I'm guessing, um, unless you've been in crypto for a long time. But you know, it's about just having the somewhat long term mindset of, you know, a couple of years, a few years, and letting those, you know, those small profits daily, you know, just build up over time. And we specifically with the Prisma NFT are doing compounding as well. I know in Warfi and Warhaven, you have the choice to compound or to cash out, or I think in Warfi you can do 50-50. We, for the first 2 years with the Prisma 1 NFT, are going to be compounding, which is going to,
Yep.
yeah, which is gonna build up to a certain amount, and then at the 2 year mark, that will be our first payout to the NFT holders. We're gonna pay out 50% of the profits we've built up to that point, and then 50% will be reinvested, and we're gonna continue doing that 50 and 50-50 each year after a year of compounding until we hit our stage 3, which our goal is to reach 15 million in the trading bot, and that will be our stage 3, which 15 million will be like what we want remaining in there after we pay out. So I don't know how much that'll actually be, but anyways, that's our goal by stage 3, which we're hoping is in like 6 years roughly. And
Gotcha.
based on our numbers, which it, I think, Moon God, what percent would we need? Like, not to chase numbers or anything, but what percent were we thinking on average would get us there in 6 years? Do you remember?
It's about 10% per month on
So,
average, and that's kind of like the middle of the road what we're shooting for here. So with all the back testing we were able to kind of do, and the adjustments that we've been able to kind of make without compounding anything, we've done about 8 to 12% per month. You know, with compounding, it's slightly higher than that. It closes in on about that 9.5 to about 13 to 14%. But it's kind of that's the range that it's in when it's averaged out. But yeah, that would be the situation that we're kind of looking at here is I know you guys are up to about 5 million in assets at just under 2 years, which is, you know, insane to think that that's even a thing to do. But yeah, we kind of took a bit more of a conservative, you know, look at it on our side over here, and that's where we kind of, you know, came to that range where it's like, hey, you know, if we ended up doing like 6, 7, you know, percent per month, it would still end up being close to about that same return. But we kind of feel with about that 8 to 12% range there, it'll get us right where we're looking to be in about that 6 year range.
and
I
Coach,
see.
That's cool. Because I guess with our system, the way it's set up, the reason that we're up at that kind of TVL at the moment in our trading bots is because we have like the ongoing deposits, so people can still put money in. I think so with Prisma, is it capped? Like you only have a certain amount that
Correct. Yeah.
is
So it's
kind of
just
set up
the
from the beginning.
initial funded amount. Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
I forgot that you guys were ongoing investment at that point in time. So
yeah. So people can still put in every month, um, put more money in, and we have had quite a few, I guess, projects invest as well, with their treasuries and stuff. So we've
right.
had like
hmm,
other projects put in like what was one of the biggest ones? I think like 750K from their treasuries.
Congratulations.
wow.
Yeah, so there's been quite a few of them
W-
in the
And
past year, I guess, since we've been
and
trading.
Coach,
So yeah.
this is something that interests us since you've been here there from the beginning, seeing the smaller trades up to trading 5 million. What have you seen as far as like I mean, obviously, there's a lot of differences in like the way that it's calibrated and whatnot, which would be like Shiny's, you know, wheelhouse. But like, what changes have you seen like percentage wise in returns? Have you seen from like the sub-million range to the 5 million range? Because I remember Raj telling me that there's a difference. Like when you're trading small amounts, you can, you know, because I was telling him how much we were making with the how much the Prisma bot made in its first month when it was trading, I think 14,000, and its first month was 16.7% profit. And Raj was saying that those numbers might be a little different when you're talking about hundreds of thousands or even millions that you're trading, as opposed to, you know, just tens of thousands. So like what differences have you seen like in the percentage wise um, returns like monthly? Has it been
Yes,
significantly
I
different?
mean the biggest thing that has changed, I guess, in what is reflected on the monthly is the market itself, right? So there hasn't been too much change in terms of what they've done with their trading. Like obviously they have to take into account that they're going to be holding a lot more money there. So getting closer to those, like once we got into the millions, with Shiny, like his experience and funds that he's handled in the past and things like that, he's fairly comfortable in a bear market to handle between 10 to 15 million. In a bull
Wow.
market, when there's a lot more volume, he said that can go much higher, right? But at this stage now, in a bear market, it's the market itself that's been influencing that, because the strategy
Hmm.
in terms of wanting to protect the funds, make sure that we're focusing on taking the correct trades, um, that's kind of been the same all the way through. But the biggest thing that's made the change in the percentage is the market itself.
Right, I
Because I
gotcha.
know he doesn't just look at the movement of the market or the movement of price. He significantly relies heavily on the volume as well. Because I think I mentioned this before, that like you can have, because there's not a lot of volume in the crypto market at the moment. There's not a lot of money behind some of these moves. So if there's not a lot of money behind it, it doesn't take much to move it, right? So some of the
Hmm.
moves might not have a lot of volume behind that. And then people jump in and then it quickly spikes. You get these liquidity spikes all the time. Hits the
Hmm.
stop loss. Obviously, with trading bots, most trading bots don't run with stop losses. Um, but liquidity spikes and all these movements and fluctuations, they'll happen quite easily and quite frequently because of the low volume, because it
Hmm.
doesn't take a lot to move the market.
Hmm.
Um, so I know that initially, I think Shiny only had about 30 or 40% of the funds in actual trades at any given time. So he's never trading the full amount that's in there.
I gotcha.
Um, and obviously he trades, with leverage and things like that, and under, extremely safe strategies, as he's been running for the last few years.
Hmm.
But yeah, like the strategy itself, I don't believe has changed much since the beginning. It's just been the volume. It's just been more conservative, I guess, with making sure that all the rules are hit every single time.
Right.
And perhaps I haven't talked to him recently in terms of, if he's made any differences, but
Hmm.
perhaps the 30 to 40% of the trading amount in there has maybe gone less. So maybe he doesn't use as much of the funds, and but still using that kind of leverage. So that's maybe a change, but I'm not 100% sure. But I do know that the biggest difference in the market has been the market itself.
Okay, that's a good answer.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew. Um, we he brought on more traders to the team fairly recently, didn't he? Shiny, that
Yeah,
is.
he did too. Yeah, so
Yes.
um, new traders or manual traders that we've had come in, um, that he's kind of like headhunted as well to find the best that he can find in this kind of space. Probably came on in the last, what was it, like the last 6 months or so. So like from like February or March of this year. Um, yeah, and that's definitely helped and made quite a difference. To try to make sure that we're trying to, I guess, use the strategies to reduce the risk, but then in the amount that we can kind of push, we're trying to I guess, squeeze out as much profit as possible from what we can actually attain, if that makes sense, right? So we don't want to take high risk trades and try to like squeeze everything out of the market. We want to try to squeeze as much as we can within the parameters that we have, right? So then bringing on these traders and expanding the team allows us to kind of do that more or do that better.
And just to kind of explain that a little bit further and what he's kind of talking about there is, because that's very similar to what we're doing on this side over here, and that's also what I referenced last week, Oliver, when we were talking about like how much volume is still in the market and how can you scale things up to a higher level. Is
Mhm.
that as you start to trade more and more funds, you need to have much more volume in the market to be able to offset, so you're not moving the market or creating issues for yourself. But what Andrew is talking about there as well too, just to kind of break it down for anyone that isn't quite sure what he's kind of explaining, you know, think about it in terms of like if you just pulled all the rules off and said, "Hey, there's no restrictions. We're going to go for it all." The most returns we could say that you'd get would be like 50%, right? And that would be like what you could do in a month. So like if you pulled everything off, you said, "Hey, there's no restrictions, there's no limitations. 50% is what you could do." The bot may perform at 49.8% or something like that. With the rules and limitations and everything that that Warfi and Warhaven, as well as what the Prisma One NFT bot has in place, that limits the total amount that we could have to say, I'm just going to use 10% to keep it simple, and the bot may perform at like 9.5%, returns. But the most it could do, because those safety features are in place, would be like say 10%. And that's just one of those things where you may get lucky and it may have like a trade that swings slightly higher than that. But really, to ensure that you're staying within those safety protocols that you've got set, or there's safety rules that are set, there's an expectation that you're really only going to be able to get, again, everything works perfectly 10% on the month. And what he's talking about in terms of like squeezing out as much as you possibly can is saying that while the max that we could do is 10%, we're going to get at 9.98% is what they're looking to do, kind of thing. And again, those are made up numbers. They're not anything accurate to what they're doing, but that's just to kind of break it down for anyone that's not sure the technical side that he's kind of talking about there.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Um, and the 10% that Moon God was talking about, he was just using that as an example. That's not to say.
Correct.
That's not to say that
That's
we're.
not to say that's what they're doing. That's just an example number that I was throwing out just to, for the ease of just, I
Mhm.
didn't want to give some crazy number like 4.82% is what they're going to do or something like that, or like 14.93. It's just 10%. Just keep it simple.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like the easiest break
Mhm.
down that I can give is that if their rules are in place, and because of the amount of volume that is being traded month in and month out, only allows for, a bot to produce 10%, they're saying, "Hey, we're doing everything we can to get as close to that 10% as possible." So we're at like 9.98% is what we're doing, kind of thing. It's very much so a situation where, that's what everyone kind of wants in that perfect world, is like you want it to be as safe as possible, and then when it's as safe as it can possibly be, you want to squeeze every little drop out of it that you possibly can to eke out that extra little percentage of returns. So
Mhm.
again, that's just an example for those that aren't necessarily as familiar with kind of like the technical side of things.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
I
no, that's
gotcha.
exactly right. Yeah. And one thing that I did want to mention as well that you were talking about earlier, um, was I guess the idea of changing the mindset in this space. And that's something that I like about you guys and your team and what you guys are trying to do as well, is everyone is so stuck in the whole degen mindset. I don't like that word, but it's kind of applicable here. Um,
Mhm.
where they just want money now. They want a moonshot, they want 100x, 1000x on some crazy token, Pepe and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
or jump into some of these projects that are promising ridiculous returns on a daily basis. And
Mm,
when someone turns around and looks at, oh, 3%, 5%, 6% in a whole month, but over here 8% in a day, they're like, this is not a good investment then. This is not where I want to have my money growing so slowly. But then, like you said, Moon God, you compare it to like traditional finance, anything in the stock market, the S&P 500 and things like it's significantly more than what you get in there, right? So it's what's the average is like what between 6 and 10%, something like that on a over a 10-year time frame is what you can expect in traditional finance. Um,
Yeah, best time frame for doubling your investment would be 7 years.
yeah,
Is the idea behind it? It's 7 years, 10 years is the average. 13 years is if it's just a shit show. Um,
yeah,
just
and
as
it's
someone who works in finance, that's kind of the
yeah,
best way to word it.
and it's crazy like the power of compounding. If you're able to hit what 3% a month, you compound that just for 2 years, and that's about double your money, right? And that's only 2 years in. And if you can
yeah.
keep doing that and staying at consistent percentages, staying in the green all the time, that's what's going to get you there. It's the small wins, it's the
Yeah.
small gains over time is what gets you there. And I
Yeah.
think, aligning with what you guys were saying is, and this is what we've been talking about for quite some time now as well, is we want to try to make that change in this space and change that mindset. It's like all those other projects that got people used to these crazy numbers and crazy returns and everything, it's like it's been proven now they don't work. And at the end of the day, if that's where you put your money, you're gonna lose
Yeah.
it. It might
That's
sound attractive and might be, have sexy numbers and everything, but that's not sustainable and it's been proven.
yeah.
So something along the lines of what we've done, proven track record of almost 2 years straight of green, small gains, but those that got in at the very beginning, they're they're laughing right now.
Yeah.
Like they've had their money safe for 2 years, just making money every single month,
If I
and
told
and
you
that's what we
how
want to see.
if I told you how much I've lost over the past 3 years, if I had just put it with you guys, oh my god. But anyways, um, that's
Yeah.
what you were talking about. How like you want to like you want people to realize that all these things that are promising, 8% a day or just these crazy APYs or whatever, they don't work. You always lose your money unless you are the first one in and the first one out and you just pump and dump,
Hmm.
they don't work long term. They're not sustainable. And the only way that you learn this is if you learn it from people who've experienced it or you experience it yourself. And unfortunately, most people need to experience it themselves. Thankfully, I think in our community, in the one token community, I think in Prisma as well, I think we've been getting through to people, talking to them about this, teaching them to have like a slightly longer term mindset. And I think, yeah, that's why I think like projects like ours, like Warfi and Warhaven and Prisma, and One Token, being partnered with Prisma, I think like we're gonna be changing the space, because this is like a whole new world for people. I mean, I've been in crypto for, uh, I think 3 years now. I got in at the end of the last bull, and it took me until, I don't know, until Lucky, my teammate, started, teaching me about it, and Yanni as well. That you know you need to take you have to have the long term mindset. Like you can't time the market. It's like, unless you're like a TA expert, um and even they, are wrong sometimes, but trying to time the market is just a losing bet. You just, uh time is your best friend in crypto. And that's kind of what we're teaching people. um even with like just holding tokens and waiting for the price to increase, provided it's not a scam, which a lot of cryptos are.
Mm.
But anyways, um I wanted to talk about how you were talking about Coach Andrew, and Moon God. You guys were talking about like bank instruments, having much lower returns. Um, I think, like if you were to, I forget what it's called. I don't know the names of all these things, but like banks promise you like 5% a year or something like that. Well, you were saying 6 to 10% a year, and Moon God's numbers. What about? I think Yanni's been like kind of teaching me about mutual funds. I think mutual funds are a lot better, aren't they? Percentage wise.
Depends on what mutual fund you're in. So there's like five different variations that you can kind of go with. There's income with capital preservation, there's income growth with income growth, and aggressive growth. I believe that's the five, if memory serves. And they all have different risk structures associated with them. So they can have different return rates. So, like income with capital preservation, you're probably going to be looking at closer to like the 3 to 6% return rate, whereas like aggressive growth or like a growth with income one, you're going to be looking at more towards like a higher risk where it could be closer to like 8 to 10% on the year kind of thing. Maybe 12%, 13% if it's a really, really good year. But basically, what it comes down to more so than anything else is that setups and systems in that realm have a lot more limitations than what we do in terms of like trading, the capabilities, and they have a lot more restrictions as well. Not necessarily in a good way.
Hmm.
It doesn't allow them to make changes as fluidly as we might be able to, because if we notice that, hey, there's something that is unexpected happening with our bot, or if there's something that is not necessarily as positive happening with the bot, we can just go in and make an adjustment to it. And
Yeah.
that's one of those benefits that we have on our side over here, whereas like there's a lot of rules, restrictions, and limitations associated to like a mutual fund, and they return much less than we do. Like as an example of such, if you're looking at like 10% on the year or something like that through a mutual fund, you're maybe doing like 1% a month, if that. Even at trading 2, 3, 4% a month, it's still a situation where you're going to end up coming out at 3% a month if memory serves. And I'm just kind of spitballing the math here because my brain is fried on Dayquil. I think that's something like 44 or 46% on the year or something like that. And that's almost nothing in the grand scheme of things. I've seen some of the returns from like Warfi and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
some of the stuff we've been
I'm.
able to do,
This is the
and
this
it's
is
totally different.
exactly. This is the point I'm making. I'm comparing like the best possible thing outside of crypto, which from what I gather is a mutual fund, doesn't even come close to what these bots are doing. And the thing about a mutual fund is there's a lot of barriers to entry as well. And I saw Yanni was correcting me because I was saying bank instruments. I meant the stock market. But anyways, like with a mutual fund, I think you need to have like a certain amount of money that you put into it. It's not just for like me who has, a few $1,000s in his checking account. I can't get into a mutual fund. You got to have like hedge fund. Is that what
Yeah, you
I
mean
mean?
a hedge
Hedge
fund?
fund. There you go. See how
Yeah, a
much I
hedge
know about
fund
this.
usually requires $50 to $100,000 to get into baseline or something like that. Mutual fund you can absolutely get in with as little as like $1,000 or $2,000. But yes,
Okay, I got you.
yep.
So a hedge fund. That's what I meant to talk about. Goodness.
Hedge funds are also heavily regulated by the SEC. As far as America goes, they're heavily regulated. But yeah,
Um, yeah, and but like and so a hedge fund is not even doing what these trading bots are doing. Correct? Am I correct in saying
Not
that?
anywhere close.
There
At
you go.
least not legally, we'll say. Any
Because
hedge fund that was out there that was doing some of the things that say like Enron was doing, where they were like, surprise, we're doing 30% a year or 23% a year or something insane like that. It was just yeah, I mean, they weren't doing things on the up and up. Whereas, again, that's the huge difference between the things that they're doing and the things that we're doing. Is that, we could have a year where we do 20, 30, 50% on the year. Again, I'm just throwing out some numbers here. Nothing is accurate. But it would be a situation where all of those are real returns based on real trades with real money, not just somebody fabricating things. So, I mean, that's the biggest difference that we're facing here is that there's no equitable thing in traditional finance that comes anywhere close to, what we're doing on the bot side over here, with the amount of safety that we have in place and still able to produce actual returns that is, hard and fast, true money. It's not just, you know, hey, here's your 100,000 APY. Thumbs up, everybody. Here's your money for that. 4% a day, whatever it is. So,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that's the major difference is that these are all real trades. They're all, as far as I'm aware, you guys can also track your trades through Warfi as well, right?
Yeah, so there are times where, Jason will share it. So he's the one that's got access to the trading
Right.
platform.
Yeah, I was reading
So
up on
yeah,
that.
so
Yeah.
we'll put up some trades and we'll post them out there so people can kind of have a look. Um, but yeah, mainly I guess our community's kind of gotten used to that this is what we're doing. Like we've been around for quite a while now, and um, yeah, I feel like at the beginning it's very much like people come in and they're like, "Oh, I want to see your trades and I want to make sure you're not a Ponzi and you're not doing this and that." And we've been transparent since day one. So, at this stage there's not a lot of like, here, have a look at all the trades that we're doing. Um, we kind of have built that trust. It's all there. But if anyone does ask and come in, like we're very transparent. So at any time we can just, show, well, these are the trades for what we did for September. And this is where that money came from. And this is, everything that happened. Um, but we don't have like a specific, update kind of thing ongoing all of the time. Because like I said, like everything has grown so much that we don't want to take time away from the team to just go through and just calculate numbers, on a weekly or bi-weekly basis or anything like that, just to kind of show stuff. We want to make sure that they're just focused on making the returns every single month.
Yeah.
But
So
then if we need to keep the community happy, we're more than happy to show those trades for that month or anything like that.
So the reason why I brought that up really quick is I just for the sake of comparison because I thought it might be kind of funny. I think the most trades that our bot has ever done in one day has been 6, and I can't imagine that you guys have ever been that low in quite a few months there. I mean, I imagine you guys are probably placing somewhere close to 20, 30, 50 trades a day, something like that. So it's like I can understand why it's like, hey, this isn't an everyday kind of thing, but
Yeah,
it's
so there's
it's a lot.
exactly. Yeah, there's
And
so many sub accounts and so many different,
oh
I guess,
yeah,
management tools on there. It's insane. So
Forget
there'll be a lot
hiring new
going on.
traders, you'd have to hire double the amount of people to go through all that
Yeah,
data.
no,
the,
exactly.
no, Shiny would pull his hair out of his head if he had to calculate each sub account individually, then add them all up, then get an average, and then produce a sheet. Like, let's say every week, like he'd go insane.
I don't know how you guys keep track of how much everybody has. I mean, I'm sure there's like you guys have developed something for it, but like with
Yeah,
us,
so that's all through the dApp. So that's how it keeps track. So it's a lot simpler and easier.
The
So the
the
contract takes
technical
care of that.
yeah, the technical side of it is Oliver. We have a couple developers. They're really great. The one in particular for that would be Recursive, and towards the end of the month, him and Raj and Coach will get together, and Jason when he's available. But Jason isn't really even necessary for this process. They'll get together, they'll get all the numbers and stuff, and on the back end for the dApp and the contract and stuff, they will begin the snapshot of everything, and after pausing trading and all that for the settings and such. And once they get the numbers from Shiny and then they get the funds thereafter, they put it inside the contract, right? And at that point, everything is kept track of. So like if it's 3%, right, or what did we do, Coach? 4, I think was the
4.2.
number. 4.2,
Yeah.
4.2%. And let's say your bot is X amount of money, and from 4.2%, you're gonna get $20, right, of USDC, right? So
Right.
yeah, from all the money that goes in the contract, $20 of that is yours, and you can choose to have compounded that back into your bot or claim it and have coffee money, right? And that's the beauty of it, is like what Coach was saying, is that like before Shiny had to like go through an arduous process when he was on his own of onboarding people and keeping track of all that data himself for the clients, and that's really why the business with Warfi and Warhaven works, is he doesn't have to do any of that. All the technical stuff, the devs and Coach and Raj and myself, all that's handled by us, right? And
Hmm.
Shiny and his team just get to focus on exactly what they need to do, which is trading safely and concisely and doing a good job. So yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
By
got
the
you.
just to
way,
expand on what Kevin said there. So basically, everyone gets minted an NFT, same as I guess how you guys have the NFTs,
Hmm.
and the contract holds the value of what they hold. So if someone's got $1,000 or someone's got $10,000, that's attached to their NFT. So when they connect their wallet to the DApp to claim or anything like that, then they can claim for their allocation, or they can compound for their allocation of what they have, what their pool share is.
Hmm.
And yeah, at the end of the month, I'll get together with Recursive and we'll go through and I'll execute the snapshot. Um, if there's any changes that need to be made. So, for example, one other extension of the security that we do have is that because the funds don't just sit in the contract, or people don't have the access to just take the funds out because they're in the trading pool, right, or on the trading platform. So if someone gets a wallet compromised or something like that happens, then we can set that pool to zero. And with their new wallet that they have, if they want to move it to a ledger or have, a brand new wallet, then we can now send them a new NFT. We'll mint a new NFT and attach the value to that one. Obviously, there's a process behind it in like security checks to make sure that they're the owner of the wallet that they're claiming is being compromised and etc.
That's
So we have a
awesome.
process behind that to verify, and then
Hmm.
we can, move that across. So that allows us the flexibility to make sure that, again, there's another step in place to take care of that person's funds.
Right.
So it's not just in the trading itself, but it's the security of their crypto wallet, whatever they
Yeah.
hold.
It's a big deal.
Yeah,
That's awesome. So with the
Mm.
snapshot, you guys don't actually have to go wallet by wallet. Like
correct.
it doesn't matter if you guys have 100 investors or 10,000 investors. The snapshot just does everybody, and then the
Yeah.
contract. Where does the contract put like their profits to where like they can?
So
Is there a DApp or something they go to?
yeah, so there's a DApp. That's where they would connect to.
Okay.
Um, and I guess with the snapshot, what happens is because it's the network, like we migrated over to Polygon, it can be a little bit slow at times. But let's say we've got, so currently there's off the top of my head, I think there's 1,438 wallets um, attached to that contract. So we have to do them in blocks of, I think it's about 500 or so. So we've got to take a snapshot for NFT from 1 to 500, and then we'll do 501 to 1,000, and then etc. So we've got to do it in batches, otherwise it just overloads the system too much.
Hmm.
The more wallets there are, the longer the snapshot kind of takes. But yeah, we go through that process, wait on the network, and then once that's done, it tells us how much money needs to be then deposited into the contract. So people, before the time of the snapshot, they need to put their claim mode, so they can choose to either compound 50/50 or claim. So what the contract
Mm,
will do is it'll calculate how much money needs to be claimed and how much is of that 50% as well. So for those that did 50-50, it'll total all of that together and give us a number and say, okay, this month we need to put in, 100K into the contract. That's the total amount of claims for the month. So we put that
mm.
in and people can go and claim whenever they like. So once the funds are deposited into the contract, they cannot be removed, not by us anyway, only by the users that connect to it through their dApp. So
I
yeah,
gotcha.
so that's I guess the process at the end of the month.
And what is, um, just to go over the hard numbers real quick, with how you guys do it. When you first invest, there is like a fee of 15%, I believe,
Correct. Yep.
and then
Yeah. So that's split between Shiny and our team.
yeah, and then
Yep.
each month, whether you choose to claim, compound, or 50-50, there's a 10% fee, correct?
Correct. So on the Warfi side, it's a split of 90-10, and then on Warhaven, it's a 91-9. Yeah.
Right.
So slightly different on percentage for the monthly profit. Yeah.
Okay,
Can
cool.
I ask a quick question? Um,
Yes.
do you guys? Well, I guess it's two. Do you have a like a secondhand market as well too? Like if somebody wants to sell their NFT, are they able to do so? And the follow up to that is there any limitations to the amount of NFTs that a person or project could have, or how does that kind of work?
Yeah, so the way it works in terms of the NFT is you only hold one NFT and then the pool increases. So you don't have to buy multiple. So it'll just be, one NFT can hold 1,000 or one NFT can hold 100,000. So every time you put a new deposit in, it just keeps adding to that same pool.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it just makes the process a lot simpler. We did have multiple NFTs before, but then it became a little bit, I guess,
A
more
little
challenging to
complicated,
try to
yeah.
yeah, to try to focus on monitoring all of that, and then if someone wants to sell, token ID number 162, it's like, okay, well, what's the value of that one? And before the dApp was created, it was literally just me having to kind of calculate and keep track of everyone's pool, and every
Hmm.
month just do manual calculations on top of that,
Wow.
which became
That's
like
brutal, and God bless
such
you
a
for that.
struggle. And man, as that started to get bigger and bigger, I was like, look, Raj, you are a master at mathematics. You need to help me with this, and we need to get this sorted a lot more efficiently. So he would jump in and, help me with the sheet and make sure we got all the calculations and stuff. And, that was a
Oh
massive help
man.
there.
I
Man, those
remember
those
those
days.
days. I remember those days.
God.
Like that was bad, dude. It would be like 2 weeks into the month, right? And like no word of lie, it'd be like the 17th of any given month, and coach would be like, "So yeah, Kevin, I need to borrow Raj for the next like week and a half, because we're gonna be just knee deep for the next 13 days straight,
Oh
going
my
through
god.
hundreds and hundreds of accounts." And I'm like, "Oh
Man,
damn,
it
dude."
was insane. So then having the dApp was a godsend on that side of things. Um, so yeah, so that just keeps track of everything. And sorry, what was the first part of your question?
Well, it was basically tied into if the NFTs were sellable, but I guess
Oh,
in this
yes.
situation that wouldn't necessarily matter as much, would it?
Yeah, so we do have a marketplace, and what we've done with the dApp. So previously we had like an OG NFT, so that was the original like a capped supply of only 1,000. So initially our vision was we only want to have serious investors. We have this OG NFT, which also gives you profit share of Warfi as a company, um, and there's like a 10% allocation that goes to that 1,000 NFT. So what we had was people were trading these, but then there were scam NFTs as well. So they were trading it on OpenSea, and people were getting scammed, and we didn't want that anymore. So we thought, okay, once we start releasing these new ones, um, then we want to make sure that we protect our community a lot more closely, sorry. So what we've done is we created a marketplace. So all these NFTs are locked into their wallets, so they can't freely just trade them and move them around. If you need to move it to a wallet, we can do that for you on the back end. And obviously a verification process behind that. But the marketplace just does it simply, right? So basically, if someone comes in, they can actually purchase direct through the marketplace, or they can do a fresh deposit. The difference there is there's a 15% fee if you do a fresh deposit. But with the marketplace, because it's instead of 15% being reduced of your pool, it's a 15% fee on top of. So the way it works out is that if you compare two pools together, if you wanted to have $1,000 trading pool, it would cost you less to go into the marketplace as a fee of almost like 13% to end up with the same level of money. So it makes it more incentivized for someone to go to the marketplace first to buy someone else's pool. For those people that need their money or need to cash out some funds for whatever emergencies or anything that they do have. But we also do have in place for people that have invested quite large sums of money that perhaps have need those funds quicker. So anything over like 25K, they can just contact us directly, and then we can get those funds out for them pretty much straight away. So that allows for those people to have their funds a lot more liquid because their level of risk or investment is so much higher that they're kind of some people might be over leveraging themselves. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of a lot of those people, you know.
Hmm.
So yeah, that marketplace does help as well to have people come in at a cheaper entry rate, and also allow others to exit whenever they need to, and in a safe
Nice.
way without getting scammed by other kind of scam NFTs.
We've experienced that
Uh,
with
just,
both of our NFTs.
just something I just wanted to mention very importantly for those who may be hearing about Warfi Warhaven for the first time for transparency. The marketplace is only in the Warfi side. I just want to make this very, very clear. Um, because Warfi and Warhaven, they work a bit more differently. So in the Warfi side, people can list their pools, to sell it to another person, of course. In the Warhaven's side, it's a complete exit. So if somebody wanted to sell, just for transparency, the first time somebody will be able to sell is actually towards the end of this year, actually. So it works like where you open up a ticket before the 20th of the month. So say in December when we first allow people who want to sell, they'll open up a ticket before the 20th of the month in December. And then after the trading is completed in December, in January, they will receive their profits for the December month. And we charge a 10% exit fee, and the user receives their entire balance. So it's like a complete exit we do in Warhaven. The reason why I designed it this way was it's like just to allow people to obviously have complete full exit because the Warhaven trading bots, they also act as an NFT utility, so they have it's very, very gamified, as you might know, Oliver, from our last AMA that we went through. So
Mhm.
it's just like a specialized NFT as well as a trading bot. Hence why we do things a bit differently. I just thought I'll just mention that out in case anybody does come into Wardhaven and thinking, hang on, where's the marketplace gone? You see?
Yeah. So like the NFTs are when you invest in Warhaven, like does it mint an NFT and then when you sell out, does it like burn that NFT? Is it kind of like that?
Yes, sir. You get a War Dragon NFT, or well, it depends on the level investment because like there are differences in Warfi and Warhaven. Like for example, Warfi, the minimum to invest to get a War Dog is $100. In Warhaven, it's 500. Obviously the fee structures and stuff are similar, but there are some minor differences. As like
Hmm.
Andrew said, we do a 91-9 split on monthly profits. Warfi does a 90-10. But the thing I wanted to say is like Warfi and Warhaven are not competing projects. Warhaven is and has always been advertised as an extension of Warfi, right? And like I said this in the chat earlier, if people want to scroll up, Just an example, Warhaven doesn't create our own Warhaven bots from our treasury, right? We invest our treasury into the Warfi side of the business, and that's intentional. Both projects have a symbiotic relationship with each other, and that should be obvious because both projects are using Shiny Jackal's the bots and his team, right? They are the same bots, even if they're thematically named differently, different pictures and stuff, and even if the fee structures are ever so slightly different, it's all roughly the same on the bots, on the trading bot side. You
Yeah.
start getting into more and more differences when you talk about like uh extra utilities, right? Warfi, for example, allows 50-50 compounding. Warhaven does not. Warfi allows a marketplace for people to freely trade their pools with each other. Warhaven doesn't, but what Warhaven does offer is passive income NFTs, a trading card game which is coming, things like that. We're focused on that stuff. And so like
Mm.
the projects have different branching paths, but the baselines are the same, and they both work to ensure that their own success and the success of each other. And that's why I would call it Warhaven as an extension of Warfi rather than a competing project.
I gotcha. I gotcha. What's and we've been talking for almost an hour and a half, so let's kind of draw this to a close. But let's look at some of the
Oh,
questions.
one more
Raj.
thing as well, I forgot. One more thing I just wanted to mention. In Warhaven, you can claim in USDC just like Warfi, but you can also claim in wrap Bitcoin as well. So that's another thing as well. Just wanted to pop that in.
Okay, and what's the reason for being on Polygon, by the way? That's always something I wondered about.
So originally, Polygon, it was because we wanted to have the facility of on-ramping people through credit card. And at the time, so we're using Paper Wallet, so that's the company that does it. At the time, they only had either on Ethereum or on Polygon. And we thought, well, we're not doing Ethereum because of gas fees,
Hmm.
and it was Polygon. So we literally had to do the whole migration over so we could allow that. And then about 2 weeks later, they opened up for BSC, which is where we were. So
Yeah.
we're like, oh, great. But it's done. And the gas fees are ridiculously cheap anyway. Obviously, it's not the fastest, and we've had some issues with like congestion sometimes that the transaction doesn't show up immediately, but everything works perfectly, and we're not heavily reliant on the network anyway, because the trading doesn't take place on Polygon or anything like that. It's
Mm.
just basically to claim is all the thing that you're going to need it for.
All right. Funny Toro asked this a while ago. He asked, "Where will the results be posted on the Discord?" Um, Moon God has said before that the results of our trading bot will be on the website. But I saw in Warhaven's Discord, you guys do have like the amount of you do have bots that show like the funds that are being traded, as well as I think what you guys have made in profit that month. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes, and so does Warfi. To clarify, the bots that you see in Warfi and Warhaven, those aren't live tracking. What those are is they show like the stats static from like the crypto side, the contract side. They don't track anything from the trading platform. So like just keep that in mind. But yeah, we do show like the previous month's returns. So like right now the bot that'll show the percentage will show 4.2% for the next, you know, 30, well, what, 29 days I think or something like that because it's October 3rd. So,
It's
yeah.
Halloween.
What was that, Moon God?
I was just saying it's 28 days and then it's Halloween. That's the 31st.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. I actually had a question for you, Moon God, just before we move on to questions from the community, Oliver. It was important because I was interested. So Moon God, are you guys going to be? I don't know if you already have. I haven't had time to check in on Prisma, but are you guys planning to, or do you have a DApp for Prisma One NFT holders to like go on? Is that a thing that you're going to be doing?
It's work in progress right now. So yeah, we will
Gotcha.
have one through our. I believe we're gonna do it through just the Prisma website. But yeah, it'll have a couple of different things in terms of. Um, right now, we're kind of trying to decide what all we want to have on there in terms of like year to date, last month, last 6 months, last since inception, stuff like that. But yeah, we are going to have that in there, and we're just in the process of deciding what we want all on there and getting that wrote up and put out. The only stipulation that it has associated with it is you will have to connect your wallet to the dApp that has the NFT in it. Um, if it does not have the NFT in it, you'll just see the standard Prisma token information that would be out there. So the NFT dApp, I guess so to speak, will be effectively behind a wall where you have to have the NFT in the wallet that you're connecting with. Otherwise, you won't be able to see the information. That's just kind of the way we decided to go with that. But yeah,
That's fair. That's fair. And I'm glad you guys are gonna do a DApp system. It's a good way to go about it, and it's a good way to allow people to just seamlessly and conveniently interact with things, and obviously you can build from there.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I do just want to say this real quick because I'm gonna have to go. I'm really I'm losing it at the end here. I'm not feeling great at this point. It was a pleasure talking with you guys. I'll have to catch up with you guys at a later point in time. I apologize for the early exit before the questions, Oliver. I'm gonna leave it in your hands, and
Yeah.
best of luck there. But I'm gonna have to go lay down. It's been a pleasure talking to the Warfi and Warhaven guys, and just want to say I appreciate everything that you guys are doing, trying to bring that safety and security, along with actual real returns to the DeFi and the crypto space. Man, you guys are an absolute godsend, and I love everything that you guys are doing. So it's a pleasure to get to chat with you guys.
Yeah.
no
Thank you,
problem at
Moon.
all.
Thank you so much for the support.
It was
You
it
guys
was a
take
pleasure
care.
talking to
Rest
you,
up.
Moon. Yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you, Moon God. See you, man.
Yeah, I'm glad he was able to hang with us that long because he said he wasn't sure how long he'd be able to stick it out. So it looks like Barry wants to talk, so I've invited you to speak, Barry, if you want to join us. Um, Mr. Yan is asking, have the full NFT funds been added to the Prisma NFT trading balance? No, only $2,000 I think was added today. And Moon God was saying that it might be a little bit longer, like 8 to 10 weeks, rather than the 6 to 8 weeks he said originally, to get the full funds in there because they're just testing everything, making sure everything's working right. All these other questions have been answered already. People were asking what's the difference between Warhaven and Warfi. You guys have answered that very thoroughly. Um, let me see. I'm working my way down, so if there's new questions that have come in, I have not gotten to that yet. Someone asked, Chappie was asking, what is the best way to invest in Warfi? And Coach Andrew posted the link here for the website warfitradingbots.com. And I can post that link somewhere in our Discord. Let's see. Need another PTC AMA. All right, I think that's it.
Yeah, as far as PTC goes, guys, like I know it's slow over there. Not to talk about that, but like just because we're very busy Warfi and Warhaven stuff right now. I've said this plenty of times in there, and this is just because this is relevant. The development teams are shared across all three projects, and right now the devs are like focused squarely on getting Warhaven's stuff out because we've just finished up our pre-sale, and like we have to get the contracts out just because like now we've accepted money from investors, so I'm sure you guys can all understand that like timeline wise we have to get everything done in preparation for the launch in November, which is less than a month away. It might be later in November, but even still, it doesn't, we got a timeline that we got to keep. So it'll be a little slow for PTC, but me and the boys over there, we will keep updates going and stuff. So yeah.
What is it that's launching in a month, Kevin?
Uh, Raj, if you want to answer that one, I gotta go take care of something. Or if you want to answer that, Andrew, I just gotta take care of something real quick.
I'll leave it to Raj for this one for sure.
Yes. So it's November that is launching.
What is that? I missed it. Sorry, I must have blanked out for a second there. What is it? The
Oh,
launch?
sorry,
That's
I was saying that November we're launching.
okay.
He's asking what are you launching?
No. All right. That's the Slay ecosystem that's launching in November.
Oh, I got you. I got you. I got you. Okay. Okay. All right. Mr. Ian asking, are Prisma NFT funds being partnered with Warhaven? No. Two separate trading bots. Warhaven and Warfi, their trading bots are run by Shiny Jackal. Our trading bot, the Prisma bot, is run by Moon God and Calais and Sanjay. So two separate funds. But I mean, Warfi and Warhaven utilize the same method that we're using of trading bots, and they have a proven track record. So uh, if you wanted another place to invest your money, Warfi and Warhaven are definitely something to look into. Because in the meantime, we're sold out of our Prisma 1 NFTs, and Prisma V2 hasn't come out yet. So if you just wanted somewhere to place your money and start earning some monthly interest, although they've already done their deposits for this month, it won't start again until November um, for you to be able to invest with them. So I guess if they do invest now, it just wouldn't start trading until November. Is that right?
That's
Yeah, that's correct.
that's correct. Yes.
Okay, cool. Cool. Let me see if I have any more questions for you guys real quick. We're going over that. Do you guys? This is one thing that they've been working hard on with the Prisma bot. Do you guys have any downtime with your bot, like where it needs maintenance?
Um, Not really, I don't think, because I mean, certain bots will be switched off at different times, but we've always got something running because of all the different sub accounts. So they're not all directly, I guess, linked together. Um,
Cool.
yeah, so it just kind of different intervals, things will change, or some will be switched off, but others will be kept on. But it's pretty much a 24/7 running system.
Yeah,
So
okay,
that
cool.
you won't have a moment where everything is off. Yeah.
I gotcha. Very nice. That was something that I know Moon God and Calais have been working hard on, is decreasing the downtime to almost non-existent, to where the bot can be calibrated very quickly. Like they used to take 1 or 2 days to have to do maintenance on it every month or so. Now they don't have to do that. They can calibrate it very quickly or whatever they need to do. So. But as far as I know, they only have the one bot. You're saying that Shiny Jackal runs several bots?
Yeah, so we have several bots and they do run kind of different strategies or slightly tweaked strategies of the same. Um, and that's just to kind of hedge against each other. So we'll have, different positions, and there are hedge positions as well. So, there'll be certain positions that are going long, certain positions that are going short,
Mm,
with slightly different parameters and things like that, all within the same or similar kind of guidelines,
yeah,
or safety kind of parameters. But yeah, slightly tweaked strategies of each. So then if one strategy isn't working as well, it's not going to affect the other accounts.
I gotcha. All right. Well, very cool. Well, guys, I think we're gonna wrap this up. I really appreciate you guys joining me. Um, it's been a pleasure having you guys here. It was awesome hearing you guys talking with Moon God. Um, I know the community really appreciated this. Kind of learning more about trading bots from you guys who have been in this a lot longer than us. Yeah, Crash is saying very informative. Thanks everyone. So I really appreciate you guys coming here and talking to us today and spending time with us. And it's been a pleasure talking to all you guys. And if any of you wanna say one last thing, feel free. I'll give you guys the floor.
Yeah, Raj, do you want to come up?
Well, Oliver, thank you very much for having us on board for the aim and everything. It was very, very interesting, like to hear from Moon God regarding the Prisma NFT. And, like Coach Andrew also managed to give a lot more information regarding our trading bots on how everything's done, of course, because he's the expert behind that, because he handles all of those sides you see for both Warfi and for Warhaven. Put it this
Mm-hmm.
way, without Coach Andrew, none of this would run smoothly. So all credit to him, on that.
Yeah.
And I'd like to thank all the community who have attended. Um, what I'm going to do? Every single one from the audience. Um, one second, I just need to do this. I've just taken a screenshot of those who have attended. Any of you who join Warhaven, just open up a ticket and I will give you a free Slayer whitelist role for our
Ooh.
upcoming Slayer event.
Wow. Sweet. Now what
This
is
will
that?
give you 40. Yeah, so what they'll do is this will give you 40% off our Slayer NFT character cards that's coming out. Massive 40%.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome. Very cool. No, Chappie's asking a free Dragon Slayer NFT. I don't think that's no. I think 40% off the cards, right?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah,
These
Chappie was
cards
just
have a
laughing.
lot of utility. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Wow, very generous of you, Raj. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here. Thank you everyone in the audience for chilling with us this entire time. It's been a pleasure, and yeah, we'll do it again. So thank you guys.
Thank
Mm.
you. Thank you so much for having us.
All right.
Thank you again. Always a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Same, Raj. You too.
Take care, guys.
See ya.